Okay, MBAchic, I am here at MIT Sloan for their annual diversity day. Got in last night. It was pretty rainy, so I was not getting on camera. But it's a beautiful day out here, and I'm excited to take you guys on this diversity day with me. And I'll also be on here answering any questions that you sent in. So see you later. So one of the questions I got asked was, how did you decide when to pursue your MBA? It's just a little backstory on me. I've wanted to get an MBA since my sophomore year of college, and I actually participated in the NJIT MBA degree program. And with that program, I was required to take 4 MBA level classes prior to graduation, but because of how much I struggled in those classes, I decided that it was best for me to just break into the workforce, get some work experience, and then revisit my goal of getting an MBA, which actually happened about 2 years later. I was working an entry-level job, making no money, and I just felt like the next step for me was in figuring out what I wanted to do with my life was to get an MBA. When I finally decided that that's indeed what I wanted to do, I did some research. I found out about resources like Forte MBA Launch and MLT MBA Prep. MLT stands for Management Leadership for Tomorrow. And I participated in both programs, and by my experiences in those programs helped me solidify like exactly what I wanted to do with my life. I did a lot of introspection, a lot of clear career exploration. And because of my current work experience, I hit a plateau in like my developing my finance skills and developing my analytical skills. I was like, an MBA can definitely help me fill those gaps. Another question I was asked was, what has surprised you most about the business school application process? And just a plug here, I am a YouTuber. I have a YouTube channel called #BSB, which stands for Business School Bound, where I talk about my business school journey. And a video that I recently released is titled The 7 Things That I Wish I Knew Before Pursuing an MBA. And I'm gonna share 2 of those 7 things with you today. One being the level of introspection that goes into this. Second thing is the amount of money that goes into this process. Like, you're spending money on test prep resources, you're spending money on GMAT exams, you're spending money to visit these schools, and also if you're gonna do a prep program like Forte MBA Launch or MLT, like that's also gonna cost money. If you have to do any traveling or buy any resource for that program, all of this like actually adds up. Like, once I finish my process, I'm gonna tally up all the money that I spent and eventually like release it for my YouTube followers. But like the amount of money and introspection, those 2 definitely surprised me through this process.
I'm a second-year MBA. I'm originally from Boston, so born.
Cool, creative, different things that are outside of the normal traditional MBA curriculum. So what we're doing with the Discipline Entrepreneurship Club is
so we can take a peek inside.
Yeah, entrepreneurs like in residence, so it's people who have other companies in the past or have a brother along that you can advise you you want to start out. So like, if you have a question, like they can either give you advice or help you get connected to.
Hey MBAchic, it's Bri again. I am back in Brooklyn from my visit with MIT. Really fell in love with the culture and dynamic of the school and of the community as a whole. I just wanted to hop on here because I have a few more questions to answer for y'all. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about MBA format. The question is, did you only consider full-time programs when thinking about grad school? So for me, when I started or decided to pursue my MBA dreams again, I had just started a new job. So part-time programs were literally the only thing on my radar. But little did I know at that time that for part-time programs, those are for people who are typically looking to advance in their current career. I do not want to stay in project management for the rest of my life. I consider myself a career switcher. And of course, through a lot of introspection and research, I learned that the best option for me would be full-time. So quickly after deciding that I wanted to get my MBA, I switched over from part-time to full-time. And also to touch back on introspection, while studying for the GMAT and working full-time was extremely difficult for me, as it is for everyone. So I personally do not think I would thrive in a part-time MBA program because I struggled so much with studying and working. Speaking of the GMAT, let's talk about my study approach. The word approach. Honestly, didn't really have one. Full disclosure, going into this journey, I was literally winging it. I say it on my YouTube channel. I say it when people ask me how I got started. Forte MBA Launch kind of gave me the foundation because they do have a GMAT module. They also have office hours in which I did a consultation with a admissions consulting firm and learned that I should take a class because in my opinion, the module was not that helpful because I was literally just starting studying. So I took the Manhattan Prep course, which for people who are just starting out, I do not recommend because it's way too advanced. They do not talk about content. They only focus on strategy. Again, I had just started studying, so I needed to focus on content heavy. After I discovered that Manhattan Prep was not helpful, I decided to do the self-study approach using Magoosh, using Target Test Prep. Even still with that, I felt like I needed a little more attention. So I finally decided to invest in a tutor. I had an online tutor. He was based in Seattle. I'm in New York. Time difference, he was still pretty flexible to meet when I was available. But I quickly learned that online tutoring was also not the thing for me. So I invested in a New York City based tutor. And from then on, that's when I started to actually grasp the concepts that are touched on in GMAT and actually started seeing improvement in my practice scores and my overall GMAT score. So it's a lot of trial and error with your GMAT journey. I know a lot of people do not want to take a class. They do not want tutoring. But honestly, if I had just gotten a tutor from the jump, my GMAT journey probably would have been a lot shorter than it was.